Good evening, fellow Atlas players, and happy first anniversary to Cafe Bahi. It's crazy to think that it's been a year, and with so much support from across the community, I cannot thank you all enough for sticking around and using my map for all your needs. So, to celebrate, I'll go through the history of my map, along with what I have in store for the future. So, without further ado, let's bring ourselves back to the past. For anyone who's interested in making custom maps, please use changelogs. It makes it so much easier to identify what changed, and I didn't even make mine until Cafe Bahi 1.0.10. So, take that from me. These three versions don't have much no outside of adding the following: the cafe, a beta version of Hotel Kubal, sunbathing mats, the hill, the town center, the market stand, and the oasis. It may not seem like a lot, but considering how I only used Unity for a month with a bit of help from others, it's a pretty good starting point. But as you know, a lot has changed, so let's carry on. Contrary to the other logs, this was a pretty small one. The only thing I noted about this update was the fact that there was a bug with the rope on the hill, which made it so you weren't able to climb on top. But that seemed to have got fixed. This update's pretty funny because I addressed a pretty severe lag issue when looking at the stools in the cafe. It wasn't noticeable in single player, but rather in multiplayer. I suspected a few things, but the answer was rather quite simple. The stool mesh itself was laggy as fuck. Back then, and still now, I'd say I'm pretty amateur when it comes to Blender, and that's sort of the main appeal of me just trying to make all these models by myself, but obviously taking a few Atlas assets from time to time. And Cafe Bahi served as a main way for me to learn Blender. The stool model was made way back when I worked on my first Roblox game, Time to Move House, so the model was a lot more amateur than my already amateur models for the cafe. So with a couple of polishes, I managed to fix the lag issue. This update changed the A-board in the front of the cafe, and also added a very funny looking picture. And I also added the Colosseum, but I don't know if I added it on this update or the update before. Again, fellas, remember to include a changelog so you know whether you've added, changed, or removed stuff. This is what I consider to be the first major update to Cafe Bahi, the hotel update. I didn't refer to the update as 1.1.0, but oh well, the naming convention was how it was. This includes a bunch of changes, such as the complete redesign of the hotel, a small pool, and a lot more rooms unlike the previous one I had before. Trust me, I've seen what some people have been up to here, but regardless, I'm glad you all enjoyed this update. I have no clue what happened between 1.0.7 and 1.0.8, but since I didn't mention them aside from 1.0.9, I'm just assuming it was bug fixes. For this update, since I used the default Atlas teleporters, they made a bunch of sounds when you go near them, so I moved them away. I also did some lighting changes to the cafe, but it didn't seem to be anything major in any way. Just a few rounds of bug fixing. Finally, I added a changelog. It may have taken a couple of updates, but hey, here we are. The only change to this update was fixing a bug that caused people to fall infinitely if they jumped off the map. But to be fair, why were you trying to kill yourself? I don't think that's a good thing, but alas, the update fixed the problem. And finally, the version is now 1.1.0. This was a major update that changed the pretty stale beach into quite a developed one. Obviously, you can see the changelog, but from the few additions that were added, there are now a bunch of umbrellas, seats and mats, there's a bar, there's a lighthouse with a moving light, there's a dock with boats and fishing spots, and don't forget, John Cafe Bahi himself. Now this update was pretty huge in scale, so I'm honestly glad it turned out as well as it did, and to see many people use this map just made it feel a lot more worth it. There's nothing major to note about this update, there's just a bunch of bug fixes and just a few small additions along the side, especially enslaving the camels for fast travel. So we're now on our latest major update. This one focused on the Colosseum, from completely remodeling it to making a few small additions along the side. From how it looked before to now, it definitely feels a lot more grand, and I hope those who use it for PvP could definitely feel the same way. So, with all that said, that's all the updates I've made to Cafe Bahi thus far. So, what does the future unfold? I am currently working on the 1.3.0 update, which will change the town area to make it feel a lot more like a town than it currently looks right now. It's pretty much the final thing I said outside of a few small things in my roadmap video. Right now, I've redone the oasis to make it look a lot larger like it did in my previous plan, as well as adding a small fishing hut. I'm currently working on a farm, though it's quite a challenge to do. Besides trees, some of these models will be quite different from the usual, but I'm managing through it. I made a whole mock-up of the new library in Minecraft, but I've yet to start modeling it. And for other buildings, I plan on adding a church, a town hall, a bunch of new houses that should have interiors, and a small mining area too. This update's pretty big, and it'll take me some time to iron out everything before I properly release it. With that said, I am on the case, even if my creative writing master's course is kinda getting in the way of things. But after this update, I really do want to slow it down. As much as I enjoy working on the map, this project has become much larger in scale than I ever anticipated. Heck, even opening the project itself is pretty daunting. But one of the only things that keeps me going is the fact that a lot of you really want to see what's in store next. Even then, I will still update the map from time to time, just in smaller ways, whether it be bug fixes, making it compatible with future updates, or even making changes to previously added content and just giving it more stuff. But with all the self-glazing aside, I wouldn't have got to this stage if it weren't for the fact that I was inspired by the Fate and Petula map ported over by my buddy Mr. Lago. If not for him, Cafe Bahi wouldn't have existed, so definitely give him props for inspiring me to make an atlas map like this. And I'll say it again, thank you all for the support you've given to Cafe Bahi. It's allowed me to learn Blender, map making in general, and I'm glad to contribute to the Atlas community to the point I've inspired others to make their own maps. So yeah, thank you for watching, and I'll see you all later.